A lot of interesting guests planned today. Torrey Smith's going to be with us today. The governor of the state of Pennsylvania will be with us today. The governor is really plugged into the Super Bowl. He's a monster Eagle fan. He wanted to come on and discuss the Eagles today. Hi, I'm Mike Missanelli. Back at the studio, we got Ray Dunn. We got the gangs all here, including a man named Bill Colarulo. Hello, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing
Did you
great,
have a good
Michael.
night last night here in the Big Easy?
I had a great night. We walked Bourbon Street. We had a great dinner. Starting to get some more fans trickling in, so you got some more Eagles fans. It's been awesome, man. It's been a great experience, and I just can't wait. Sunday's right around the corner.
All right, today I thought we would start back at the beginning and discuss the construction of this Eagles team, which we now are thinking is the best team maybe the Eagles have ever put together, and what the turning points were and all that kind of thing, and where it actually started to take form that this team was going to be good. So when we go back all the way to the beginning, I don't think any of us thought that this was going to result in a Super Bowl year. We really didn't know that much about what the Eagles were going to be. They had two new coordinators. They got a lot of different personnel. They had to interject a couple of rookies into the system. And in training camp, you never knew. And again, it came back to the quarterback. And also, would Saquon Barkley be Saquon Barkley again? So all these things from the start, I would like to just go back and look at. Now, when I think about the Eagles and the first thing that triggered this whole thing, and I guess I have to play into your hands here, because what triggered the whole thing was they actually kept the head coach. And so coming into this year, you had a head coach who was coming off a disaster of the previous season, and we were very insecure about the whole thing and how this guy would be able to build a team that needed a lot of new personnel. They had to rebuild that defense. They had to freshen up that defense. And then they brought in a running back that had been coming off of injury, but also wasn't that effective for the Giants. Solid, but not that crazily effective for the Giants for many different reasons. So when we go back to the start, I'll go number one, Sirianni. Back. Are you on board with that?
It's hard to argue with it, Michael. It's hard to argue with it because I think if they would have made a move, you never know what you get on the other side. The grass isn't always greener, as they say. So if they would have brought in a different coach, who knows where they are right now. So I do think that that's got to be number one of why they're back in the Super Bowl.
Okay. I don't know how to feel about it. They obviously now, bringing him back, paid dividends. I'm not so sure that dividends wouldn't be paid with anybody else, but I've got to give it up at this point. This guy has done something right for this team, and so their decision to bring him back was the foundation for the house that they were about to build. So now let's go systematic. I want to do this in priority here. So let's go with the second most important thing, and I'm not going to say it was Fangio. The second most important thing had to be the signing of Saquon Barkley, even though we really didn't know that much about how good he would be. Are we on board with that?
I would put the Saquon signing in the top three, but I think Fangio is above Saquon. In my opinion, I would put Fangio above Saquon because as dominant as Saquon Barkley has been, I mean, literally he's going to have the best season by a running back in NFL history. Without that defense, they're not where they are. And without Vic Fangio getting all these young pieces to work together to be the number one defense in the NFL.
You're advancing. You're going too far.
No, I'm saying
you're using results to justify the hiring.
I still think that Fangio would have to go above Saquon.
Okay, well, here's my difference with that. Fangio, for all his success, when they brought him in, was still an unknown quantity. We didn't know how effective he was going to be. He had failed in Miami, and he had failed other places, and we didn't really know what we were getting at that point.
Yeah, zero Super Bowl rings.
Right, with that Vic Fangio. So that's why I say the known quantity of Saquon being this massive talent would have to go over in priority Fangio. Now, I'm going to have Fangio on the list, but that's going to be a little bit down the road.
I will just say this, and I said it yesterday. Jen, who's engineering today, what's up, Jen? Jen and I were on the air when they signed Saquon, and as excited as I was, and a lot of fans were, and I know you're a Penn State guy, you couldn't have predicted. If you say we're looking at Fangio's results to justify it being up there, no one predicted Saquon to have this good of a season. I mean, when they signed him, did you think he was going to have the greatest, literally, the greatest season in running back history of the NFL?
Still, he was one of the best running backs in the league. So he was a known quantity. At that point, I didn't know that Fangio was going to be one of the best defensive coordinators in the league because he had come off of like a down cycle. Saquon didn't come off a down cycle. Saquon just wasn't at the 2,000-yard level. So that's why I go Sirianni, Saquon. I go with the two S's up top. And I'm overruling your Vic Fangio thing.
All right, so you're putting Saquon there, but Fangio's got to be number 3.
I'll put Fangio in parentheses, okay? I'm not going Fangio number 3 either.
Oh, man.
Because I'm going personnel first. And they needed personnel more than they needed the coordinator because any coordinator they were going to bring in was an unknown quantity, even though they've had middling success in the league and some better success in the league.
Yeah, I'm with you on that because I said a lot last season. It didn't matter if it was Sean Desai or Matt Patricia. They lacked defensive personnel. But again, the reason I'm going to argue that Fangio should be above it is he was involved in that personnel. Howie Roseman is not bringing Zach Bond here to play off ball linebacker.
Now you're burying the lead here because you're going into my number 3.
But that
the signing of Zach Bond was my number 3, and we're putting together cinder blocks here.
I get it.
The cinder blocks that are building this foundation.
But you can't build the house without Fangio being the cinder block because Zach Bond's not here, but for Vic Fangio saying, I think that guy can play off ball linebacker. No way Howie Roseman looked at him, who never played the position in New Orleans, and said, yeah, you know what? I've done a pretty poor job of identifying linebackers, but I could see that guy. No, it was Fangio who found
I
him.
always go player first. So I go Bond, and then I go Fangio. Again, Fangio came here as what is he? What is he? So you're looking at the result afterwards. The player Bond was the scouts, and obviously Fangio had something to say about that. But the scouts, Howie Roseman, they saw that guy and they signed him. And so he was the known quantity as far as the ability goes.
All right, well, then let me ask you.
Mm-hmm.
If Vic Fangio is not the defensive coordinator, do you think Zach Bond is a Defensive Player of the Year finalist?
Again, you're fast forwarding.
Well, it's just
you can't fast forward this exercise. You don't get the exercise that we're doing here.
I am disagreeing.
Though. You've got all the blocks lined up with mortar, and I'm just putting a block down at a time.
I can't put Zach Bond ahead of Vic Fangio.
Well, I did.
You can't.
And since it's the Mike Missanelli show, Zach Bond gets
your votes count as 2.
Gets the number 3 spot, and Fangio gets the 4th spot. All right, let's go to the 5th spot now. We're building this team. Where they are now, we're going back, and we're saying, okay, what blocks were put in place to build that foundation? So we got Sirianni, we got Saquon, we got Bond, then we got Fangio. And I'll agree with that one. You got Fangio higher, but, whatever.
Can I just hear you say it again? Who's the number 1? Who's number 1?
Sirianni.
Oh, it's like music,
listen,
to my ears.
I can no longer deny it or fight against it. Could I if I said it was irrelevant that they brought him back and it was all luck, I'd look like an idiot. So their decision, even though I wouldn't have done it, turned out, maybe they didn't know it turned out this way. It did. So I got to go, okay, that decision at that time, even though I didn't know how it was going to progress, if they didn't do it, maybe we're not here. Maybe we would have been, but maybe we're not here. So I will give Sirianni. So you got to give me one. I'm giving you one with Sirianni. You got to give me one with Fangio.
All right, so we're going Sirianni.
I'm not trying to disrespect Fangio. I think he's done an amazing job. But at the time, he was a totally unknown quantity. And I can't give him 100% credit for Zach Bond. I can give Bond 100% credit, right? He gets the 100% credit. He knew what he was. All right?
Yeah.
It's all right. So Sirianni, Saquon, Bond, Fangio, and I want to go into a break with number 5 because number 5 is a little bit tougher. So give me your number 5 building block that was most important.
Number 5 for me would have been the 2024 NFL Draft. Getting Quinyon and Cooper DeJean with the first pick and the second pick, completely changed the secondary for the better. A secondary that struggled immensely last season, to bring those two guys in. And you even saw it with Cooper DeJean, who was hurt to start the year. After the bye, when Cooper DeJean slides in at that nickel corner position, look how much better this defense has been. So I'm going with the 2024 NFL draft. So basically Howie Roseman's drafting ability right there.
Okay, and I will agree with that. And you could even throw in, bringing C.J. Gardner-Johnson back and
yes,
things like that. But I definitely will agree with you at the 2024 NFL draftees that included 2 starting players as rookies right away, which blended right into our number 4, what Fangio did with them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, so the top 5, I think we agree what they are, maybe just not the order.
All right, so there you go with the top 5. Now I want to take, the people out there have seen the same thing that we did. I want to hear what your ranking system is on how this football team developed block by block to get where they are now. Because when you look at this team, here's where they are. How did they get there is the appropriate conversation today. Here's how you get in. It's 610-632-0975. 610-632-0975 on the text board or via the phone call. And again, we have Torrey Smith, 1055. Torrey liked being on our show so much he wanted to come back. How about that?
Yeah, I just saw him walk by, too, so we'll be here live.
He felt a kindred with us.
Well, how about it? We had Malcolm yesterday,
and
now we got Torrey today.
Smith,
2017
and
Super Bowl.
Governor Josh Shapiro at 1 o'clock. He's really excited to come on and talk to us. And anybody else today that we can grab here on Radio Row. It's busier now than it was yesterday. A lot more entities have come in. So it'll be a crazy day. If you're watching this on YouTube, just study the whole process, study the background. You know who was here yesterday? That golfer that people go crazy over.
Oh, Paige.
Paige Spiranak was here.
That's correct.
That's correct. That's right. All right. 610-63. Is that Brian Dawkins?
Oh,
Was that B-Dog? Yo, B-Dog, what's up? All right, he's going to come this way. How about that? Grab
you never
B-Dog
know,
and
man.
Walking by.
You never know.
All right, it's the Mike Missanelli Show. Right back after this.